Today's problem, how to get out of a speeding ticket. Almost 50% of drivers ages 16 to 18 speed. It's not only dangerous, it can be costly. Thanks for joining us on episode 28 of Throw Your Parents Under the Bus podcast. With me today is veteran crash investigator and driver safety expert Mike Peel. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well.
All right. And our social media expert and keeper of our student observations, Miss Natasha Johnson.
Hello.
Or I should say Mrs., but whatever.
Potato.
Today's podcast focuses on what you can do to get out of a speeding ticket. Natasha, tell us about the observation we are using for today's episode.
Yeah, so I received an email from a mom the other day who was asking for advice. I am the student's mom and wishing to remain anonymous. Student is 19, got licensed a few years ago, has been licensed less than 2 years. They were pulled over Sunday after Thanksgiving while student was driving back to college, a freshman. On the freeway, it was a clover leaf exchange from one highway to another at night. They didn't notice the posted sign and has been driving that way several times this fall. Student wasn't aware of their speed and how much over until they were pulled over. They have been a good driver up to this point, no other incidents, was very distressed. Fortunately, the officer was kind, not much traffic. Mike, what advice do you have for this parent?
Well, what I want to get across first is we're not here to get people out of speeding tickets, okay? You shouldn't be speeding, and you being that young person, you're going to be pulled over. Why? I live in a town that our police pull kids over for 1-2 miles over. Why? Drugs and alcohol, and they get a lot of it. So just passing through. So, I mean, they're out there with radar all the time. In this situation, I get it. I don't know how fast, how much over they were going. But on your exchanges, when you're going from, and I'm going to guess this wasn't a cloverleaf because that's a 25-mile-an-hour curve, and you to speed on those, you're really bending your car around a curve there. So I'm going to guess it's probably the exchange that just kind of goes off onto another one. And if you don't look at that posted sign that says exit 35, exit 45, and you're going 70 on the freeway, it was very easy to get to that curve because they're slowing you down because obviously there's going to be a curve coming up, and the curve is rated at a 35 or a 45 or a 55. So we don't know how much over they were doing, but if you do get pulled over for speeding, and if you're intentionally speeding, you're going to get a ticket, okay? And you deserve that. I'm just here to say this. Your vulnerable spots to be extra careful you do not speed is school zones, construction zones, residential areas. You're 1 over, you're 2 over, you're 3 over, that could get you a speeding ticket in those particular areas. If you're doing 1 or 2 over on a freeway exchange, no traffic on the road, man, I don't know if they're pulling you over, they're pulling you over for something other than that, and they can use that as a excuse or whatever. So if I got pulled over today, which I won't, the first thing I would say to a police officer, and I don't do it just because of the car, but if a police officer walks up to my car, my first thing I'm going to say to that police officer is, no matter what the outcome of this is, I want to thank you for your service. You know what? Now, how am I going to get a ticket out of that? I might, but you know what? Because I am very thankful for them, and they do have a hard job, and I can't even imagine what it would be like in the dark to be coming up behind a car with tinted windows, all this stuff. But anyway, this student did get a ticket. The ticket's been written. And here would be my suggestion, because it sounds like it's very minor. And what they need to do is they need to go to there's like a mediator between the judge and that ticket that you can call up and say, I need to talk to the prosecutor, whoever. There'll be an assistant, and you need to say, what can we do to keep this ticket off our record? My son or daughter is 19 years old, a freshman in college. We really, he or she was unaware of the exchange and didn't see the sign and has driven that many times. And wow, all of a sudden there's a sign. So thank the officer for that now my attention will be on that every time I use that exchange. But is there some community service, something can I do that will keep this off my record? And, I've written statements out for judges before on kids with careless and reckless driving tickets. And I'm not going to say this happens 100% of the time, but there's a very, very, very good chance if this is your first offense that judge or that assistant is going to go to the judge and they're going to say, look, we're going to put you on probation for a year and we're going to dismiss this ticket. Okay, it's still going to cost you the fine, whatever, but we're going to dismiss the ticket. And if you are not in this with another ticket in the next year, it totally will not hit your record. Most of the time they'll do that unless it's careless, reckless, alcohol involved, drugs involved. Then your forgiveness is, not going to happen very good. But unfortunately, this happens. So we can all learn by it. And the perfect example of this is pay attention to your speed and it won't happen. So sorry, but I would definitely try that, call that assistant and see if there's something that can happen.
Right. Well, especially because if they're a good student and they were polite, and obviously that officer even said that, or she said that the officer was very nice to him. So obviously it was an okay connection with them at the time instead of getting upset,
Yes.
and being, that's a big thing that there's an issue, because I know we even have that when the police pull you over. Don't argue.
Yes.
Don't just do it because you can fix it after. If you think you're in the right, don't fight it there, they say. And because that'll just make it escalate the issue versus letting it the courts or whoever to.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and it doesn't happen that much, but unfortunately, we do have websites that tell you if you get pulled over by a police officer that you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. You know what? When you sign that ticket that you're given, the warning or the ticket, when you sign that, you're not signing guilt. You're signing you received it. Your guilt is not until after that court date. And it says right on that piece of paper you get, your hearing is this day. If you want to contest this, here's your day.
Right.
So, again, be smart, just be smart.
I had a nephew who had just gotten his license, and he was coming actually over to visit us. And in the city I lived in Minnesota was very ticket. They like to put out tickets to anybody, even if it's 2 miles. We would tell people, do not even go 1 mile over the speed limit. You will get a ticket. Well, he wasn't from our town, and he was driving, and there was a sting about someone coming to a crosswalk, but the biker walker person was not in the road at the time. They were probably about 3 feet away from walking into the horse, and he went by and they ticketed him. But they brought it in and he explained what happened, and he got off probably similar to what this person is, because he explained, I didn't see it. They weren't there. And I think they were well known in our community that that's what they did. So anyway, with that said, I guess we're done, and I'll quit mumbling around and say goodbye. We want to thank you for showing up again for the throwing your parents under the bus. We have more podcasts on our YouTube channel, which is YouTube facebook.com/drive safe, ride safe 1, which is the number, not the word. And we hope that you join us again. And with that said, remember to
Drive safe.
Ride safe.
.com.
Awesome.